So we might be witnessing the CIA taking over this crazy AI tech company, or these might all just be crazy coincidences. You tell me. Last night, some freak water spout tornado sank this luxury yacht off the coast of Sicily. And on board was Mike Lynch, who's been called the Bill Gates of the UK. We'll get to him in just a second. But also on board was Jonathan Bloomer, the international chair of Morgan Stanley, one of the biggest banks in the world. He was apparently really good friends with Mike Lynch. And Mike Lynch just beat like this multi-year super big fraud trial that he got extradited to the US for. He had a 0.5% chance of acquittal, and he got it. And there's a whole other mysterious death related to the exact same company and trial that we'll get to in just a second. But Mike Lynch founded this company called Autonomy that he sold to HP for a bunch of money. Like $11.7 billion worth of money. But then immediately HP had to write off $8.8 billion of that value, and they claimed that Mike was fudging the books and overvaluing the company in a big way, and they accused him of fraud. This was all the way back in 2011, and first he beat it in the UK courts, and then they extradited him to the US, or they charged him in the US, and it went on for years in the US. And then he was throwing a victory party with all of his lawyers and his buddies in the chair of Morgan Stanley. And then that boat they were having their party on like weeks after this trial got hit by this crazy freak water spout. But first, what Autonomy does is super interesting. It operates what's called an intelligent data operating layer, which allows for search and processing of text taken from both structured data and unstructured human information, including email and mobile data, whether it originates from databases, or audio, video, text files, or streams. They call it meaning-based computing. So if I'm reading that right, that means that this is an AI surveillance software that can process video and live streams and audio and analyze it and surveil it. Obviously, just for the greater good, just for like running ads, just totally harmless technology. Can't imagine who would be interested in that technology. So on June 6th of this year, they were found not guilty on all charges. And then his co-defendant, Chamberlain, who of this company, he got struck by a car while he was out running and died. I presume he wasn't going to be on this boat trip, so he just happened to get hit by a car. And since he had left the main company, Autonomy, in 2012, he'd been working at their like subsidiary spinoff, this cybersecurity firm called Darktrace. That's ominous. What's that all about? Darktrace uses an unsupervised machine learning, AI, to build intrinsic patterns of life for a network. So they'd establish like, what does this network normally act like? And that way they can detect cyber threats and hackers that are changing the normal state of that network. And they claimed that it had the capability to defend against zero-day attacks. If you don't know about hacking and cybersecurity, a zero-day attack is when a hacker finds a weakness in some code of anything, like your phone, your car, your programs, your computer, whatever. And because no one's ever found that weakness before, it's called a zero-day weakness. And they can exploit it to hack you. And that's how basically all cybersecurity hacks and leaks happen these days. And there's no defense against them until they get exposed, and then they can patch them. But this claims to be able to defend against them before they've been used. That would make all cyber weapons obsolete if that worked in its totality. I'm sure it's not perfect, but the CIA has a lot of cyber weapons. They're just sitting on Israel, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Russia. Everyone's got whole caches of zero-day exploits that they have stashed up, ready to fight each other with if we go to cyber war. That's how all the hacks you've been hearing about happen, is by people exploiting zero-day attacks in the infrastructure, in the phones, in the cars, whatever it is. Those are 0 days. And I don't know how to be conclusive about this, but there was evidence that they were trying to be taken over by kind of like the Wall Street cabal. Short sellers were attacking the company. There were hedge funds trying to take them over. Thoma Bravo, never heard of them. Looked them up, not a lot about them. But in my cursory search, I did find that they were responsible for funding part of FTX and got accused of being a part of that whole shit show. I have long suspected that FTX had ties to intelligence and was not what it seemed, but I don't know. So anyways, once they get rid of the dark trace guy with the car, allegedly, I don't know, I'm just making shit up at this point, but he dies in a car crash. And then a random tornado waterspout sinks this luxury yacht, but it's not like they were out in rough waters. They were anchored about a half mile from the port of Porticello, and there was other boats all around them. According to the captain of a nearby boat, they steadied their ship using their motors, and then after the storm had passed, they looked back and noticed that the other ship behind them was gone. So they went and rescued some of the people, and they called in the Coast Guard. Crew members are out speculating about how this fucking yacht went down off of the coast after it had just crossed the frickin' Atlantic all over some crazy choppy seas. Doesn't really make sense. 15 people were rescued. Most of them were the yacht's crew. Almost all of the yacht's crew were rescued, except for, I think, the chef, maybe. And the other, 15, 17 people were all the important people that did not make it. And, genuine tragedy. The dude and his daughter are not found. His wife is in hospital right now, and she is dealing with the fact that she'll probably never see her family again. Genuine condolences to the people that lost loved ones here. And to be clear, I don't know if this is a conspiracy or not. It's just weird, super weird. And it fits a playbook of high power tech startups and companies that develop some piece of really important software, and intelligence agencies want that shit and they'll go to any lengths to get it. If you don't know about the Promise software, look up the Promise software. That connects to Epstein. That connects to the Octopus Murders documentaries on Netflix. This is not the first time this would have happened, if that's what happened. Shout out to my boy Welp for bringing this to my attention. Those Game Stoppers are like bloodhounds in the financial world, and they got their nose on the trail. So obviously the story's still developing. They're still searching the water. The wreckage is deep enough. It's going to take them a few days to figure out what's in the boat at the bottom, what's going on. I don't know. All I know is that if you think that only God can make weather and water spouts and tornadoes happen, you might want to look up HARP, maybe with a Tor browser or something, if you care about your internet data footprint. I don't know. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled. You guys tell me if you got any leads, because this is kind of wild. And I don't know what to make of it.